This is a true story, how I ended up with both of my husbands, that they turned out to be gay. Well, the first one turned out to be bisexual, the second one was gay, and I had no clue until pretty much the end. It's my first husband. I met him when I was only 16. He was 26. We started dating, so now we're married. I'm 20 years old. And my husband now and I, he wanted a lot of things sexually. So because I was terrified of him cheating on me, it's always been one of my biggest fears is to be cheated on. I just agreed to everything he wanted. And he wanted a lot of things with another woman. So threesomes, in other words. He also wanted to go to swingers clubs. He wanted to do all kinds of, as freaky as you could get, he wanted to do it. And so we did all these things together. Because again, I was terrified that I was going to end up getting cheated on. So by the time I was 21, and we had now been together for 5 years, I finally decided to challenge him and say, how come we never have threesomes with another guy? Why is it always with another female? And he asked me, is that what you want? And to be completely honest with you, I had no desire for that. But I wanted to see if he would go for it. And so I said, yeah. I'd like to do that. Call up another guy and have another guy here for me, and the two of you can have sex with me. But he said, okay, and you go ahead and you find the guy then. So I went into the West Ender newspaper in Vancouver, which it was the main place that, professionals, escorts advertised, and I went to the male escort section. So I very explicitly asked them when I phoned, are you gay? Are you bisexual? Are you straight? Because this is for me and my husband, and it would actually be for me, though. We're looking for a man to join us to have sex with me. And so I did find a guy that I was attracted to that I called, and he said he was straight. And so great, his rate was good, whatever. Arranged it for that coming weekend. The guy came over, and my husband was still in the shower, and I just knew that was going to happen, Murphy's Law. So I was already dressed in some kind of sexy lingerie. He came in. I started to have this, feeling right off the bat that he wasn't into me. That's what I thought. I had no clue that it was going to turn out the way it did. I was attractive. I was only 21 years old at the time, and I really dressed in lingerie. There was never really a time that a guy wouldn't be like, wow, looking at me like in a certain way, looking me up and down and kind of staring at my tits a little too long. But none of this was happening. And so we sat down to talk in the bedroom upstairs, which had the ensuite attached where my husband was showering. And we sat side by side on the bed, which was also really kind of awkward. I had sat down, and then he just sat down right beside me. So, you're sitting next to someone, and it's like, oh, yeah. So I ended up angling my body towards him to speak. And again, he wasn't looking at my body at all. He just didn't seem interested. And so I started to get just a really bad feeling that, oh my God, I hope he's not gay. My husband comes out of the shower with a towel wrapped around his waist, and he's got a dick print. His dick was semi-hard. And for a white guy, he had a very large penis. And right away, out of the corner of my eye, I could see this guy's dick getting hard. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Are you serious right now? So I knew right away that this guy's gay. And I'm trying to give my husband a look, kind of shaking my head like this, but he didn't catch on. He's talking to the guy, and they're being all friendly. So I got up, and I even tried to say something to my husband as I walked past him, but he kind of moved the wrong way at the wrong time, and I didn't get to. But I knew right away that he would catch on. There's no way that my husband's not going to catch on to the fact that this guy's gay. So I said, I'm just going to go into the washroom. I'll be out in a few minutes. You guys can get to know each other. So I'm in there for, 5 minutes or so, trying to act like I'm busy doing something in there. And I know for sure by now my husband must have caught on, and it's just going to not go the way that we thought it was, but whatever, hopefully he had already let him out. Who knows? But I come out to find my husband on his hands and knees with the guy behind him fucking him. Yeah. Not only did he not see me, he was in complete bliss. Complete ecstasy. So I just stood there for 5 seconds frozen, completely frozen. Then I turned right back around and went back into the washroom. I stayed there for probably like half an hour. My husband didn't come knocking, nothing. I cried my eyes out. So that was the first time that, that was my first husband. And that's how I found out that he was not gay completely, but he was very much bisexual. And it turned out he'd had lots of experiences with men. He started to confess to years and years of experiences with men. So, if he had told me that in the beginning, I might have actually been okay with it. Maybe, I don't know. But the way I found out, and the fact that he had kept that from me before he even married me, kept it from me after we got married, to the point where that's how I found out, it was a deal breaker. Our marriage ended probably a month thereafter. So anyways, my second husband I met in New York. And so we had this wild night together. We kept up this long distance relationship for a long time. There wasn't really like talk about an official commitment, because obviously he was in New York, I'm in Vancouver. But long story short, on my 30th birthday, I went to Las Vegas with a couple girlfriends. And lo and behold, who showed up in Las Vegas to surprise me? But my, not at that time husband yet, but this guy from New York. And he came down the escalator with, I came down the escalator. He was standing at the bottom with a huge stuffed teddy bear and roses in his hand. And I'm like, oh my God, right? Anyways, me and my gorgeous girlfriends go out with him to the Ghost Bar in Las Vegas at that time, which was the highest point in Vegas. Beautiful fucking view, nice drinks, outdoor patio. It was January 12th is my birthday, but we went out on the 13th. And of course it was after midnight by the time this all happened. He gets down on one knee and proposes to me at the Ghost Bar. He had no ring, but he's like, I'll get a ring as soon as possible. I just want to make this official right now. Like, will you be my wife? And I cried and everything, and I said yes. And my girlfriends and I, we were all on ecstasy, including him and I. And they're like, oh my God, this is so sweet. You guys we can get a G-ride, and we'll go to the courthouse, and you guys can get a marriage certificate and do it right now. And I'm like, what the hell? It's like 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning. It's January 14th now. And they said, yeah, this is Vegas. That's what you do here. And I'm like, looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, do you want to? And they were really like cheerleading us on. And we said, fuck it, let's do it. And I said to him, look, this is a big deal to me. I was never going to get married again unless it's forever. And he said, me too, babe. And his eyes were sparkling with tears, and mine too. And we did it. We got married. And the weirdest thing, when I got on the plane to go home, I just felt like I bawled all the way home on the plane. I just felt like maybe I was never going to see him again. Anyways, years passed, and I didn't see him again, because he ended up calling me like 4 months after our wedding to say, we both know that I'm not coming, babe. We both know that. And I'm like, what? No, I don't know that. I have pictures of the two of us on our wedding now all over my house. I was shocked. This is not what I was expecting at all. Like, I was a married woman. I was waiting for my husband, and I was trying not to be too impatient. But yeah, I was calling him like often. We were talking almost every day on the phone. Time went on, and the phone calls between us were very, very infrequent at this point. And every time he'd call, I would just be mad as soon as I saw his name on the call display, and I'd say, what? What do you want? And he's like, hi, wifey. And I'd say, I don't feel much like your wife. Like, I don't even know anything about you, it seems like. Are you ever coming? And so I had started dating people and I told him every time I'd meet somebody, I'd say, I met somebody, I've started dating somebody. Like, I don't know what you want me to do, but I have needs, and obviously you're not coming. And, he'd say, I'm going to come eventually. And I always knew in the back of my mind that if he really truly came, I'd probably dump whoever I was with to try to make it work. I mean, he was my husband, but he didn't come. Christmas came. This is now almost, I guess it's been 10 years now, 10 years ago. And I opened up my Facebook, and because at the time Facebook was like the newspaper, like TikTok is now, the newspaper that you got onto when you woke up in the morning. And the first thing that came up on my timeline was a picture of him with this guy next to him, and they looked intimate. they were like almost kissing. And I'm like looking closely at the other guy. I'm like, what? Who is that? And the caption at the top of the picture says, I'm officially engaged. And then who was tagged was the guy was tagged in the picture. And so it's this guy's name. And so they're apparently now engaged. So I call him up. I'm just fucking pissed. And I'm like, now how can you be engaged when you're married to me? Tell me that. And you're engaged to a fucking man? So what, you're a fucking faggot? That's what I said. I was pissed off. Right? So I don't talk to him now for a long time. A long time. I mean, silent treatment for like 7 or 8 months. And I started thinking about him again. In my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? I just have to forgive him. If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. Obviously, like, it wasn't meant to be, and I have to let it go because the anger and stuff is eating me alive. I'm hanging out with some friends that night, and I have plans to call him. I'm just kind of putting it off, but I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him any day because I need to tell him I've forgiven him. The last conversation we had was the one where I'm calling him a million names. And I don't know what came up in the conversation, but I said something about my husband. And my girlfriend and my other friend are like, husband? You're married? And I'm like, yeah, I got married. I mean, we're estranged. In fact, like, he's basically engaged to a guy. He's obviously gay. But I mean, you would not know. He's a good-looking guy. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, I'll show you him on Facebook. And I open up my Facebook, and I go to his profile, and I pull him up on the screen. And they're like, holy shit, he's hot. He was a really hot black guy. Really fucking hot. Like, I should have known right there when I first met him. Like, he was just too much of a pretty boy. He had all his towels perfectly folded. His clothes were fucking color coordinated. Yeah, I'm going to call him and tell him I forgave him and, you know, wish him, give him my blessing because he's obviously never coming. And then I turn off my computer. And then the next day, I'm in the bathtub in the bathroom, and my daughter walks in, and she goes, Mom, and she says my husband's name, is dead. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, I just saw it on Facebook. And I was like, no way. So I go back out to my computer, and I didn't realize it until I opened it, that I hadn't touched it since the night before. So when I turned on when I opened my computer and it turned on, the first thing that came up on the screen was him. Isn't that crazy? So I didn't even have to go looking for him, but I do go onto the main timeline for like everybody's stuff, and rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in peace. So he's passed away. So I call his mom right away in New York, and I'm like, oh my God, right, what happened? And she goes, oh, you know, I can't believe this, and yeah, he just died. His heart stopped. And I was like, what? She said, yeah, he died last night. So the crazy thing was, because I was still officially his wife on paper, we had never gotten a divorce or gotten it annulled. I had to sign for his autopsy, his cremation. I had to sign for everything. So when the autopsy came, the papers came to me first. He was, it turned out, a heroin addict. He was injecting meth. And at the bottom of the page, it said that he was HIV positive. When I read that, I freaked out. I went right to my doctor. I said, I need to get tested right now. And he's like, okay, so when's the last time you slept with this man? It had been 7 years since I saw him. And he kind of chuckled and he said, you know, you've had surgery since then. Just the surgery alone, we would have found AIDS if you had AIDS. You've done lots of blood tests and different things in that time. I said, I don't give a shit. Test me right now. So I am HIV negative. Thank God. So I thought when I called his mom back that I was going to be telling her this horrible news that he was HIV positive. So, you know, his immune system was weak. And when I told her, she said, oh, I knew that. So I was like the only person that didn't know this. And she said, yeah, you know, with all of the men that he slept with. Men? Everybody knew he was gay. Everybody knew he was HIV positive. Why did you marry me? He married me for the image. So it would look good for him to say he had a wife. Because back then it was still not acceptable to be a gay man, let alone a black gay man. Isn't that lovely? So that's how I found out.